Auctions are a minefield and it's easy to overspend or worse. In today's video, I offer some tips on how to keep your head when the bidding starts.
All right, boy, you can all go here. $68 here down $9, $69 here down $9, $8 down $9.
Hey there, Rednecks, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great. Good. Auctions are inherently exciting. Yeah, you get that preview period when you can go in and inspect the goods and make your plans. There's the entertainment of watching rival bidders go to war against each other. Finally, there's the thrill of you yourself bidding on a coveted treasure. It's no secret that the price of military surplus firearms have risen steadily and sharply in recent years. Part of the reason for that increase is auctions. Sellers have come to question why they should take a bit of a haircut selling military surplus firearms to a gun store, which does have to price a profit in for themselves, rather than just take all, or most at least, of the money themselves. With the rarity of many firearms these days, that means more people are bidding on them, prices go up. Well, I can't blame those sellers. We all want to maximize the money, we get when we are selling something. That said, there is a part of me that also feels for the buyers, who in many cases are brand new or just inexperienced to the auction process, and both groups often making some very expensive errors when adding firearms to their collections. Today, I offer some tips on how to successfully navigate the auction world, some of which I had to learn myself the hard way. First thing you should always keep in mind during an auction, particularly when you're bidding, are the hidden costs that you'll have to pay if you win. Those hidden costs include a buyer's premium, sales taxes, and, if you're not local or it's online, shipping costs. I happened to be watching an item on an online auction recently, and the bidding was at about $300 Canadian, which wasn't unreasonable. Until I remembered the 15% buyer's premium, the 13% sales tax where I live, and the minimum $30 delivery charge. That would have raised that $300 item to just under $420. Suddenly the price wasn't so reasonable. So make sure to factor those hidden costs into your calculation of what it is that you're willing to pay. That brings me to my next tip. Know what it's worth. Don't pay more than retail in the worst case scenario. Lord almighty, I don't know how many auctions I've watched over the past few years where the item actually goes, and this is before the hidden costs I just mentioned, more than it would have cost at retail. I'm talking about ammunition. I'm talking about new firearms. Hell, I've seen used firearms go for more than brand new at retail. And I'm talking about firearms that are still being made. None of this stuff is discontinued or rare. Find out what something is worth before you start bidding on it. Do your research and find out if something is actually rare, because I've seen so many rare guns up for sale, despite the fact that I've seen plenty of the damn things over the years. I have a feeling that a lot of these so-called rare items are put up for auction by non-gunnies who think their 1938 Mosin Nagant M9130 is rare simply because it's 8 decades old. And unless the auctioneer specializes in firearms and knows the deal, they might not even question that alleged rarity. Related to that, bid on the gun and not the story, because sometimes you're going to see auction items have incredible stories attached to them. That's not just a Walther P38, friend. That's Hitler's Walther P38. No, Hitler wasn't a Luger man. He was a Walther fan. It was brought back from Germany right after the war. Proof? Well, no, there's no actual real proof of anything. Yeah, perhaps, it is all true, but unless there's ironclad documentation or proof, and you're not bidding on that P38 as if it wasn't anything but a bog standard example of it, you're bidding on the story, not the gun. Don't do that. Now, this is more of an in-person auction thing, but beware of the shadow bidder. It's essentially a trick that an unscrupulous auctioneer uses to cause someone to bid one increment higher than the current bid should be by pretending that someone else has placed a bid right after the first person did. Usually by pointing at that second person and calling that next bid even though that person hasn't bid yet. A variation of this is where the auctioneer calls a bid from someone who doesn't exist. This happened to me once when I was sitting in the front of a room and the auctioneer was allegedly taking responding bids from someone in the back of the room. Problem is, no one recalls ever seeing a bid coming from the back of the room. They just saw me. Related to that is shill bidding, which are bids being made by the seller's agents. Now that ties into the next tip, which is don't get emotional. I decided I really wanted the rifle that was allegedly being shadow bid, so I got angry and I started a bidding war, possibly against no one else. And then I am paying a fair bit for a rifle that really wasn't worth the money. I can say that because my final bid caused the people in the room to suck their breath in response. I won the rifle and a reputation, but I lost that war. Be sure to attend the preview if you can. Remember, there are no returns or refunds at an auction, and things are generally sold as is. Carefully inspect each item the best that you can before the auction so that you know what you're getting if you win. Not to mention, it'll probably help you set a maximum price. If you just simply go buy pictures in a catalog or online or whatever without checking it out in person if you can, you'll be surprised as to how easy it is to make a sewer pipe look like a decent firearm. So in short, do your research. Avoid emotion. Don't get too attached to whatever it is that you're bidding on in case you don't win. Be clinical about it. If you didn't win, it just simply wasn't meant to be. If you get too disappointed by one loss, you may go overboard on the next firearm you're interested in to salvage your day. Stick to your per lot budget. Just because you didn't spend the money on item number 1 doesn't mean you then should roll it over into item number 2. Anyway, those are just some tips that I've learned personally and from others. Don't let the video scare you. Auctions are great entertainment, and it is possible to get something that you want at a decent price. That said, auctions, whether online or in person, are well known for driving up the prices of things like firearms past the point of sanity thanks to that competitive bidding process. Don't fall prey to your emotions and that competitiveness. Walk away if things get dumb. Which is what I should have done with that rifle. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it to be both mildly entertaining and vaguely informative. If you do participate in an auction, whether online and in person, keep your head straight and consider what you're doing. Take care, and bye-bye.